talk us through why you decided to have the abortion that you did.
The termination wasn't an easy decision whatsoever. It got to the point where I found myself at 12 weeks pregnant and being faced with the decision that I'd made to go ahead with the termination. It wasn't an easy process. I made the mistake of Googling, you know, the various different options that you have at that time. And I'd advise people definitely not to Google the
in the papers, Josie, it said that you'd wanted to have a nose job because you wanted to further your career. You couldn't have the operation, obviously, because you were pregnant. Is that right? Is that the truth?
You can't have a rhinoplasty until at least a year after giving birth. So the pregnancy would have delayed things by around 18 months.
Did anybody really talk you through that? Because I firmly believe that it's every woman's right to make that decision, and that they shouldn't be judged on that decision. But when I feel really sad about that, because I don't think that you could be feeling quite right to make that decision, to think, well, I'll have to wait another year for a nose job before I can do that.
There was other contributing factors that led to the decision. It's not a straight A and B, oh, I want a nose job, so I'm going to terminate a pregnancy. I've had 3 children already and managed to somehow maintain a career and a way of life for the 3 children which I already have. I mean,
is this the way that is this the only way that you see that you can have a career?
I want to feel acceptance, not just from the public, but I want to accept myself.
Why are you so obsessed by looks? Is that something that goes right back in your childhood or something, that you're obsessed by how you look?
I think it all stems from being bullied, you know, from being 13 years old up until leaving school. I left school and I found myself, you know, meeting guys like you do, and I thought, you know, I can't get bullied anymore, I've left school. But then I started finding myself in a domestically abusive relationship, which then ended, and then again, another twice domestic abuse.
You might be putting yourself as a target for more abuse, because in a way it feels, I think, when I read your stuff, that is what you're doing. That, you know, what does that feel like to be called the most hated woman in Britain?
I just take it on the chin, I suppose. I'm used to criticism, but...
But, Josie, I have to chip in here, because I have to say I was very uncomfortable with you coming on the show today. I don't like the fact that you're on the show, and it's not because I don't like you, but I feel, when I read about you many, many times before, you became a very easy target to call, you know, Britain's most hated woman. And then I started to read the detail, and I actually thought, I felt sorry for you, and I thought, you actually need help. You don't need to be helped to come on shows like this and say something else shocking that then fuels the next paycheck or whatever. And everything that you've just said to me about being bullied, etc., you need help, as far as I'm concerned, to actually look at yourself and say, why do I have such a low opinion of myself that I think that, you know, porn and all of this, you don't have any self-esteem. And when you look in the mirror, I feel that you will never like what you see.
However much surgery, that won't change, because it's something that's going on. It's something that's going on inside of you.
As far as the porn goes, the porn route of a career, you know, that's my choice of career route, because I enjoy sex.
But porn isn't sex, really, is it?
Well,
porn is a whole different thing to
I enjoy everything associated with it, and I'm thoroughly
Well, you enjoy the
looking
money,
forward
don't
to...
you?
Oh, definitely. I'm not
money.
in this for the fame.
But on the back of what Jane has just said, though, about help, would you consider having counselling?
I've already had cognitive behaviour therapy, which I found to be no help whatsoever. I've tried medication in the form of busperone.
But would you have further counselling that targets exactly why you're so obsessed by your looks, and why, in a way, you make it all so public? I think the majority of people just wonder why you do all of that, why you want to be in the front pages all the time. Lots of people go through ill times and abortions and all the difficulties that you have, but they don't make it public. So are you an attention seeker?
I think a lot of women are scared to talk about abortion, and I don't think enough women speak publicly about it. It is something what happens every day. There's around 125,000 abortions worldwide.
No, it is, and as Nadia said, we're not judging you for having an abortion, but the trouble is that when you say a headline like that, I had an abortion because I want a nose job.
As I've just said, though, there's obviously other contributing factors which, for legal reasons, I can't mention. But being a public figure, I felt that I wanted to reach out to other women. That there seems to be this whole stigma that abortion is disgusting and it's vile. But every person has an individual situation.
It was a normal night that many of us can relate to. You'd put your daughter to bed, your husband was out, your other daughter was asleep over, ran a bath, and then the landing light flickered and there was a stranger in your landing.